Claybo. Good evening, Darren Claybo, incident meteorologist for the Rocky Mountain Blue Team. I'm going to start off talking about today's weather by talking about yesterday's weather. We did see a few showers come across the fire yesterday. Most of those showers affected the northern and eastern portions of the fire. So the southwest side of the fire really wasn't impacted by those rain showers. However, like I said, the north and the east sides were, and we saw much less wildfire activity up there today, likely due to the increase in humidity from those showers and just the fact that we were able to wet the fuels. Most of the fire activity we saw today was up in the higher country on the west side of the fire, although the entire fire showed less fire behavior today than it did in previous days, likely due to an increase in that relative humidity. Today, we're under a red flag warning, which means that conditions are favorable for critical fire weather due to lightning and dry fuels. Most of the thunderstorms that we did see over the past few hours this afternoon were off the Front Range and to our north. We did not see any showers and thunderstorms on the fire as of yet, and that's kind of problematic going into tomorrow, into this weekend when we're expecting drier conditions. So look, going forward, tomorrow we're looking at temperatures back up near 80 degrees, minimum humidity near 15 to 20%, and northwest winds gusting from 10 to 20 miles an hour under mostly sunny skies. And I said a couple of days ago, there's 4 things that we really look for to see large fire growth on this particular wildfire. One is temperatures near 80 degrees, the other is humidity below 12 or 13%, and winds gusting in excess of 20 miles an hour, and the last thing is sunshine. This fire really likes sunshine. We're definitely going to see more sunshine tomorrow and going into this weekend than we have seen in days past. There is some positive news looking out later into midweek next week and later next week. We are looking at a little bit more precipitation across the area, and it does seem like the potential is there for some wetting rains across all of the northern Rockies. So the rest of tonight I'll be just monitoring thunderstorms across the area and ensuring that our crews and folks out on the fire line are aware of any incoming thunderstorms and any incoming problems that they may bring.
Hey, good evening. I'm Paul Hone. I'm an ops chief here on the Rocky Mountain Blue Team. I'll talk to you about what has been going on the operation today. I'll start by doing just a little orientation. So I know some folks are asking where this fire is. Walden, Colorado, will be over here off the map. Highway 14 runs through up and over Cameron Pass. Then this is the Poudre Valley and the Poudre River. Estes Park, Colorado's down here. I don't know if you can see that on the screen, but some folks were asking if we could point that out. I got to get out and do a fly to the fire today and take a look at things. And as Darren said, with the cloud cover, the fire had a little less activity, and it was kind of restricted to heavy pockets of smoke and a couple areas where there were single and multi-group torching, but we didn't see the rapid fire growth and extreme fire behavior that had been about 5 days ago. Just going around the fire in general, telling you what we're up to. The 103 road, Laramie River Road, they've made good progress in there, and they've done most of the protection measures on structures close to the fire's edge. They continue to work north and look for opportunities to put some improvements around, and then they were able to lend some of their crews over to Foxtrot, this northwest end of the fire, and do some work there where they're putting in hand line in different areas and then working on preparing for when there's some heavy equipment that can work on some of those indirect lines, working off indirect control features. Over in Lima, continue to use crews and heavy equipment to look for those fuel break opportunities and then prep road systems and remove brush and look for other natural control features that would impact Crystal Lakes and Red Feather Lakes and the adjoining communities in those areas. Down off the 6-9 road, the Manhattan Road, there are crews there that are taking brush and trying to put a buffer in on the road so that if we did have fire reach out that far, we would be able to have the ladder fuels, so the way that the fire climbs up into the tree canopies perhaps taken out, increasing the chance that fire would stay down and we could make a defense on that roadway system. And then also working down into the 14 corridor right here at Rustic. So firefighters have made it that far down near the Glen Echo Resort, and they continue to work down and look for opportunities and see what they can do to put some protections around structures. That might be removing some fuels like brush that's up against houses, and even installing pumps and hoses that can be put on a sprinkler system so firefighters could start them and leave in the event that the fire front came by. We do have people that are working down the Pingree Park Road, and we were able to coordinate with CSU's Mountain Campus and also Sky Ranch Bible Camp to assist them in making sure that we knew what their priorities were and could protect what's important to them. And they're beginning to get the final stages put together on some planning to take an existing historic road feature and then get on a trail and take it down further south into the north end of Rocky Mountain National Park. So we've been fortunate and had good interaction with not only the Forest Service where the fire started, but other adjoining jurisdictions to include Rocky Mountain National Park, and as we'll talk about now, State Forest State Park, which is a state-run park on the other side of the Continental Divide. So as we come around, the Whiskey Victor area of the fire is really close to that Cameron Pass on the high country. On the top end is Rocky Mountain National Park, and then down through the canyon is where we get into the State Forest State Park. This has been, because of the prevailing winds, some of the most active portion of the fire. We were able to put a little bit of indirect line back here off an avalanche chute, and today the Union Hotshots were in there way up high close to timberline, putting some improvements there. There's still some decked wood that's on the green side or the side away from the fire that will need to be removed, but we feel pretty good about a defensive feature that we have put in there in the event that the fire continues to move to the south. And last but not least, we have a group that is solely dedicated to structure assessment and structure protection, and they continue to look and evaluate structures in the 14 corridor and work their way down past Rustic, but also now have begun to branch out and look at other adjoining communities, mostly on the north, east, and southeast of the fire, to see what we can do and what materials need to be ordered in order to put some of those defensive pumps, hoses, and sprinklers into place. There have been some questions about where we think this fire will go, and is it going to go as big as our big box of indirect line that we've put in there. When we initially got here, we had extreme fire behavior. It was blowing across the highway multiple times in the first 3 shifts. We had another spot a couple days into that down by the Long Draw Road. So this fire does have the fire fuel, terrain, weather to have large growth. We have a system of modeling where we can take historical data coupled with fuels conditions and the topography that gives us a pretty good idea of what a short term, a 7-day and a 14-day run is. Now, it's just a model, but we've run that model a couple times, and we've actually ordered in an expert to our team called LTAN. It's a long-term fire analysis person, and we're continually tweaking the model and looking at different projections. So the short-term projection does show that we have, because of the winds, some fire potential and growth in the next 7 days to work towards Cameron Pass. When you put a west wind or a southwest wind, we have seen projections that give probabilities of it reaching up into this area. So we started with what we thought would be the most successful place to make a defensive stand with natural control features based on an extreme run, and we will always have the opportunity, once we get those in place, to look for our contingencies, which could be closer to the fire. So we're doing the best that we can. They're just models. The weather has a big thing to do with it. So that's how that works, and we continue to refine things and try to get better as we move along. So that kind of gives you an overview of the operation out there for today.
Good afternoon, my name is Katie Donahue. I'm the Canyon Lakes District Ranger for the Arapahoe and Roosevelt National Forests and Pawnee National Grassland. And I'm here today to talk to you about some expanded closures that we've put in the area. I know there's been a lot of attention on this when it got posted earlier this afternoon, so I want to talk to you a little bit about what the closure looks like and then some of the why behind why we made that choice. So I'm not going to give you all the exact changes, but I'll just give you a rough sense of where it's moved to. We've moved kind of across the Cherokee Park area, up and around Red Feather and Crystal Lakes, coming down to, so it's now up to the Cherokee Park Road, coming down 67J, where we've moved like Kelly Flats and the OHV roads are closed in here, but the Boy Scout Road and trails along that corridor are still open. We've pulled a buffer around Pooter Canyon because we want to ensure that folks can have some day use areas, but the closure has moved down from Rustic down to Kelly Flats. We've chosen that location because it's a good place to turn people around if they come up the canyon by mistake, and we want to make sure that they can get back out again. And then down to the southeast, the closure is kind of taken over from the Pingree Park Road where it was down into the Buckhorn corridor. So I know that's huge, and I know that there are a lot of folks that were hoping to get out into the woods this weekend, particularly with hunting plans. We really did this to hone in on the value of life and public safety that's so important to us on this incident and every incident. I worked really closely with the Larimer County Sheriff's Department to talk about the what-ifs about evacuations in the community, and we really want to be able, if evacuations were to take place, we want to be able to get folks out of their homes safely and as simply as possible. And if you've been up there, a lot of those places have a big network of roads, and there's lots of campsites way back in, and we don't want to have law enforcement spending hours and hours looking for individual camps when they could be focused on getting out large numbers of folks in the community. So I absolutely get it that this is inconvenient. I also understand the timing for the folks in the community, but I just want to really reassure you that this is about safety. It's not necessarily directly related to the behavior of the fire. Paul just explained kind of what's been going on with that. And it's really just us trying to get ahead of expected use for the weekend and the potential that this fire has. And again, this is really a move about safety, and there are other choices. I know you can go look at the map on Facebook, and then I know that the team has done a really great job of communicating so far what some of the other recreation opportunities are for folks to give you alternatives. They'll continue to do that, and our folks will help as well to provide that information. So that's the information about the closure. The other thing I just wanted to say is, you guys, this team is still doing a really great job. This is a really complex incident. As the fire has moved and changed, there's lots more partners that are getting directly involved. The National Park Service, Colorado Division of Fire Prevention and Control, and obviously Larimer County, who's been in the game since the beginning. So all these folks are continuing to work really, really well together, and we really appreciate the work that the Blue Team's doing. Thanks.
Good evening, Jared Holm, Deputy Incident Commander for the Rocky Mountain Blue Team. So we're just trying to address some of the topics that keep coming up. Do want to reiterate, once again, this is a full suppression fire. Like it's been stated before, we're also looking at other partnerships between the state of Colorado with the state park systems and the National Park Service. Even if it does breach into those two other agencies, we're still considering this as a full suppression fire, and we're going to take full suppression actions on the fire. Our goal is to public and firefighter safety, but also try to have the least amount of impacts on the infrastructure and our natural resources, so we don't lose some of our forest lands that we love to recreate in. A lot of questions on indirect line and why we're not going completely direct on the fire. We've talked a lot about the lines, indirect lines that we put in. Well, a lot of those come down to the amount of fuel that's out in the forest and the ability to actually go direct and suppress the fire. We've had a lot of aggressive fire behavior the first couple days of this fire, so we were unable to get right up on the fire's edge. The fuel that it's burning in creates a lot of spot fires, which are little embers that fly into the air and produce littler fires away from the main body of the fire. And so it's a great risk to our firefighters. So we try to back up to find natural barriers, road systems that we can improve and try to hold the fire fronts on those edges. Lastly, I want to talk about containment. Right now we're showing 0% contained on the fire, but that does not mean that our firefighters are not doing good work. So there's a difference between containment and completion of line. We're showing 0% containment, which means once we deem a piece of fire contained, we feel very confident it's not going to move past the lines that we put in. We can't say that right now due to the fact of the way the fire is burning and the fuels and terrain it's in. But the work that our men and women are doing out there is considered the completion of line. We're looking at about 25 to 30% of the indirect lines completed on this incident, which is amazing for the amount of time that the individuals out there have had. So really know that our firefighters are working very hard and diligent to try to keep this fire as small as possible. Thank you.
Thanks again for joining us this evening. Any other questions that you may have, please call us on our information hotline for the fire, and that number is 970-541-1008. We have also posted to the Cameron Peak Facebook page as well as NC Web the new closures with the maps. I did see some questions that people had about the map of where the fire is. We have those up as well, and we post new ones every day. So again, tomorrow night, same place, same time. Thanks for joining us.